You were not born to live in doubt. You were not sent into this world to question your worth, to shrink in rooms you were meant to lead, or to hide your voice when it was created to move mountains. The tragedy is not in failing, it's in never daring, simply because you never believed you could. But let me tell you this, no one can believe in you until you first do it yourself. Like Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But here's the truth, most people never even get to the belief part. Why? Because they carry the weight of 5 silent killers of confidence. If you don't leave these behind urgently, you won't rise, you won't grow, and you will never know what you are truly capable of. So before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you're tired of doubting yourself and ready to fight for the future you deserve. And drop this in the comments right now if you're with me. I'm done doubting. Say it. Declare it. 1. Leave behind the fear of being judged. Let me ask you something. Who are these people you're so scared of? The ones whose opinions sit in your mind like prison guards? Are they feeding your dreams or draining your spirit? You see, confidence dies the moment you start living for applause, and freedom begins the moment you stop needing it. Napoleon Hill interviewed Henry Ford, who was laughed at, criticized, mocked, yet never once shifted his course to match public opinion. He simply believed in his mission more than he feared their words. That's the mindset that changes the world. Now ask yourself, who am I trying to impress? Are their opinions more valuable than your dreams? If not, why are you giving them control? When you shed the fear of being judged, you stop performing and you start becoming. But if fear of judgment isn't what's holding you down, then maybe it's something else, something darker, too. Leave behind the habit of self-criticism. Confidence cannot live in the same house as constant self-attack. You know that voice in your head that says you're not enough, that whispers you'll fail before you even try. That's not your intuition. That's your inner saboteur, trained by past failures, fed by childhood wounds, and reinforced by every time you compared yourself to someone else. Napoleon Hill didn't say faith was the second step to riches for nothing. He knew belief in yourself must come before anyone else can invest in you, and belief is built, not inherited. So let me ask you this. What lie have you been repeating to yourself so long that you now accept it as truth? That you're not smart enough, not attractive enough, not talented enough. Whatever it is, it's a lie. And the longer you repeat it, the deeper it takes root. Here's a truth bomb you need to swallow. You will never outrun the damage of your own voice. You must become your greatest supporter, not your loudest critic, because faith starts inside, not outside. But if inner criticism is a poison, then comparison is a slow death. 3, leave behind the disease of comparison. You sink. Someone else's success becomes a measuring stick for your worth. But let me tell you, you cannot build your castle if you're busy envying someone else's kingdom. Napoleon Hill interviewed hundreds of millionaires, and you know what they all had in common? None of them were obsessed with being better than anyone else. They were obsessed with being better than they were yesterday. Comparison is a thief. It steals joy, peace, motivation, and eventually your identity. When you compare, you either inflate your ego or crush your spirit. Neither is true, and both are dangerous. You have no idea what battles they're fighting, what corners they cut, what pain hides behind that filtered smile. Why envy someone's chapter 20 when you haven't even finished writing chapter 3? Instead of asking, why don't I have what they have? Ask, what's the next step in my story? This shift alone can change your life. But maybe, just maybe, the reason you keep comparing, criticizing, and doubting is because of the 4th weight you haven't dropped yet. 4, leave behind toxic people who anchor you to the past. Let me be blunt. You cannot become a lion while living in the den of snakes. Some people will never let you grow because your growth exposes their laziness. Some will mock your dreams because they've buried theirs. Some will keep you stuck because it makes them feel safe. Hill called it the mastermind principle. Surround yourself with people who challenge your limits, not confirm them. Think about this. Who gets access to your energy? Who gets a front row seat in your life? Because those voices will either be the wind beneath your wings or the chains around your feet. You've got to cut loose the anchors. Some people are in your life for a season, not a destiny. Let them go. Not with anger, not with guilt, but with clarity. Why? Because your confidence cannot grow in the soil of toxic energy. And if you want to finally break free from doubt, you'll need room to rise. Now that we've uncovered 4 weights, fear of judgment, self-criticism, comparison, and toxic people, there's still one more, and it's the silent killer of belief, the root that chokes every dream before it breathes. But before we uncover it, tell me something in the comments. Drop this line if you're ready to clear out the old and build something new. My time is now. Say it like you mean it. 5. Leave behind the need for immediate validation. This is where most people fall. You start something new, you're excited, you're ready, and then nothing, no applause, no likes, no recognition. And just like that, your motivation dies. But listen, the seed doesn't sprout the day it's planted. It breaks underground, fights the dark, and pushes through layers of resistance before the world ever sees its first leaf. Napoleon Hill said it best: patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. He knew that the greatest mistake people make is quitting too soon, just because no one clapped. Here's the truth: no one wants to hear real confidence is silent. It doesn't beg. It doesn't seek validation. It doesn't fold when ignored. It grows quietly, stubbornly, like roots beneath the soil, until one day it breaks the surface and stuns everyone. But you must be willing to look foolish for a while, to post the video no one watches, to write the article no one reads, to walk into rooms where no one knows your name. Because that's how greatness is built, not by praise, but by perseverance. Ask yourself this: are you doing this for validation or for transformation? One makes you dependent, the other makes you unstoppable. But don't just drop the hunger for validation. Replace it with something more powerful. Replace it with vision. When you have vision, you don't need validation. You see where you're going even when no one else can. You carry the fire in your chest long after the crowd has gone home. Every leader Napoleon Hill studied had this: a clear, burning vision that they could see, feel, taste, even when no one else believed. Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, they were not guided by applause. They were guided by purpose. They were not chasing approval. They were chasing destiny. So the next time you start something and no one notices, good. Let it be quiet. Let it be sacred. Because the more noise you need, the less rooted you are. And that's the question you need to ask yourself right now. Is my confidence rooted in their approval or in my purpose? Think hard, because if you get this wrong, you'll chase success your whole life and feel empty even when you catch it. Now, let's go even deeper. If you've left these 5 things behind, what do you build your confidence on? You build confidence on discipline, not motivation. Motivation is a wave. It comes, it crashes, it disappears. Discipline. That's the tide. It moves the entire ocean. Napoleon Hill wrote, "The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does." That's discipline. Showing up when no one asks. Doing more when no one notices. Pushing forward when your legs scream to stop. Confidence is built every time you do what you said you would do. Every rep, every email, every silent, thankless step forward, it compounds into power. You think you need to feel good to take action. That's backward. You need to take action to feel good. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself that you can trust you. Let that sink in. Confidence is not just self-belief, it's self-trust. Ask yourself, have I been keeping promises to myself? Or do I break them the moment I get tired, bored, or scared? Because here's the brutal truth. If you keep abandoning yourself, your mind will stop believing anything you say. But the moment you start honoring your word, day after day, even in silence, your confidence begins to roar. Not because anyone else heard it, but because you did. That's the level where belief becomes unshakable. But belief alone is not enough. The world tests belief. Life throws storms at you, so what must follow belief? Resilience, ruthless, relentless resilience. There's no confidence without scars, no power without pain, no growth without pressure. Hill called it temporary defeat, the test that comes before every triumph. And most people fail, not because they're weak, but because they mistake delay for denial. They think it didn't work. No, it hasn't worked yet. They think, maybe I'm not meant for this. No, you're meant for more. You just haven't endured enough. You must learn to outlast the pain, outlast the silence, outlast the voice that says, why am I even doing this? Because those who win are not always the fastest or the strongest. They're the ones who refuse to quit. So if your confidence feels low, ask, when was the last time I kept going when it hurt? Resilience is your furnace. It turns doubt into power, fear into fire. But even resilience is empty if you don't have one thing, a reason bigger than you. Find a mission greater than validation or comfort. Why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? If your mission is just to be seen, praised, or rich, your confidence will collapse the moment it's tested. But if your mission is rooted in purpose, in service, in something sacred, you become unstoppable. Hill's greatest message was not just think and grow rich. It was this: align your mind with a definite purpose so strong it sets your entire being on fire. Confidence is not ego, it is clarity. So ask yourself, why must I win? Who needs me to rise? What would happen to the world if I never stepped into my purpose? Because when your reason is strong enough, you no longer ask, do I feel confident? You simply do the thing. You show up, you speak up, you rise, because you must. And that, my friend, is when the world starts to notice. Before we push further, I want to hear from you. Comment this right now if you're serious about your growth. I trust myself now. Say it, claim it. Let the world hear it through your fingertips. Now listen closely. If you've come this far, it means you're not just looking for motivation. You're looking for transformation. You're not satisfied with surface level change. You want to build a fire that doesn't flicker every time the wind blows. You want the kind of belief that holds firm in the storm. The kind that Hill called unyielding faith. But how do you maintain that fire once you've found it? That's where we separate the dreamers from the doers. Because confidence isn't a one-time decision. It's a way of living. So let's go deeper. Because if you stop now, the world will never see what you were meant to become. Confidence must be fed daily, or it will die. You don't eat once and expect to stay full for life. So why do you think one inspirational video, one journal entry, or one bold decision is enough to sustain your belief? Confidence is a daily decision. It must be nourished, fed, protected. You feed it by keeping your promises, by staying in motion, by avoiding what drains your energy and leaning into what builds it. Napoleon Hill called this the power of autosuggestion, consciously feeding your mind the words, thoughts, and images of success until they imprint on your subconscious like a brand. Every day you have to choose, will I feed my fears or my faith? Will I rehearse my failures or visualize my victories? Make no mistake, the world will not hand you confidence. You must build it. And the minute you stop feeding it, doubt will return like a wolf to a quiet door. That's why morning routines matter. That's why affirmations matter. That's why intentional thinking matters. Not because they're magic, but because they're discipline. Mental reps that strengthen your belief muscle day after day. But there's something else you need to protect, your internal dialogue, because even one careless sentence to yourself can undo a day's work. Speak to yourself like someone you're becoming. Here's the truth. You'll never become someone you constantly insult. You can't say, I'm so lazy, or I always mess this up, and then wonder why your confidence is cracking. Hill understood the power of language. He knew that thoughts become things, but words shape those thoughts. So if you want to believe in yourself, speak like someone who's worth believing in. That means no more saying, I could never do that. I'm not good at that. That's just who I am, because the moment you say it, you reinforce it. Instead, speak your future into your present. Say, I am becoming consistent. I am training my mind for greatness. I am worthy of success, even if I'm still learning. Words are seeds. What you plant, you will harvest. Ask yourself, what would the highest version of me say right now? Then say that. But belief is not just about words. It's about what you allow yourself to feel. And there's one thing you must never feel again if you want to build true confidence. Never feel guilty for growing. Some of you are holding back, not because you're unworthy, but because you're afraid of outgrowing the people around you. You're shrinking your light so they won't feel insecure. You're hiding your progress so no one thinks you've changed. But listen closely, you are supposed to change. You are supposed to rise. You are supposed to leave the version of you who doubted everything behind. Napoleon Hill wrote that the ladder of success is never crowded at the top. You're not here to blend in, you're here to break free. So now, you don't owe anyone an explanation for evolving. You don't owe anyone comfort at the cost of your calling. If your confidence is making someone uncomfortable, it's not your job to shrink. It's their job to grow. Ask yourself, am I holding myself back to make others comfortable? And if the answer is yes, cut that chain today. Because the world doesn't need a version of you that pleases everyone. The world needs the version of you that was destined to lead, to create, to shake things up. You were born with fire in your chest. Don't let guilt put it out. Live with urgency, not panic, but purpose. Most people wait for the right time, for the right mood, for the perfect conditions. But Hill revealed a truth few ever understand. Success comes to those who act, not those who wait. You think you have time, but the clock is ticking, and every day you hesitate, every dream you delay, someone else with less talent but more courage is taking the spot you were born to fill. Confidence grows when you stop waiting and start moving. When you realize that clarity comes after action, not before it, you won't feel ready. That's normal. You won't feel perfect. That's human. But you must act anyway. Think about this. What if this year was your last chance to change your life? How would you show up then? Because that's the level of urgency it takes. Not frantic, not fearful, but focused, ferocious, relentless. Let the world sleep. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. You rise. Final words, the decision that changes everything right now, in this moment. You have two choices. Keep living the way you've lived, questioning, hesitating, hiding, or decide, once and for all, that you are done doubting yourself. That today you walk different, think different, speak different, Believe different, because belief is not just a feeling, it's a decision, a line in the sand. Napoleon Hill once said, "You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. That power is already inside you. So here's what I want you to write in the comments if you're ready to step into that power. Well, I believe in who I'm becoming. Write it, declare it, stamp it in your mind. And if this voice, this fire, has awakened something inside you, don't let it fade. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this with someone you love who needs to believe again. Because this world needs more people who are on fire with purpose. Let that be you.